commentator that we also have joining us right now. I'd like to thank both of you. We're going to cut live right now because the Home Minister in Maharashtra, Dilip Walse Patel, is actually giving a statement as we speak, particularly important developments in Maharashtra. So we're going to cut live to that. Take a look.
महाराष्ट्र पोलीस असतील किंवा CISF असतील अशा पद्धतीचं कुठेही निर्णय त्याच्यामध्ये नसतो तरी सुद्धा आपल्याकडे जी माहिती आहे ती माहिती मी तपासून घेईन.
उसमें ऐसा है कि CISF ने जो पत्र लिखा है मुंबई पुलिस को या महाराष्ट्र पुलिस को उसमें यह है कि ब्लू बुक जो है रूल्स उसको फॉलो किया जाए और राज्य सरकार CISF से कोऑर्डिनेशन करे मुंबई पुलिस या महाराष्ट्र ऐसा कुछ किया जाए कोऑर्डिनेशन करके आप जो हेड प्रोटेक्शन उसकी सेफ्टी रूल को फॉलो किया जाए.
ऐसा है कि अभी जो रूल्स है जो बुक्स है उसको तो फॉलो करना ही है. वो क्यों नहीं फॉलो करना है? सबने करना है. जिसने उसने अपनी अपनी जिम्मेदारी वहाँ पर निभानी है. तो ये सब छोटे छोटे प्रश्न में हम जाना नहीं चाहते.
सर देवेंद्र फडणवीस ने कल एक लेटर लिखा है सेंटर को. उसमें एक लाइन जो मेंशन करी वो कहा है कि महाराष्ट्र सरकार पुलिस को नौकरों की तरह इस्तेमाल करती है. ये बेहद गंभीर आरोप है आपकी सरकार के ऊपर. आप कैसे रीड करें? ये उनके शब्द हैं.
नहीं बराबर है लेकिन अभी लिखने वाला कुछ भी लिख सकते हैं. हालांकि ऐसी परिस्थिति नहीं है. महाराष्ट्र की पुलिस बिल्कुल कानून के हिसाब से और उनको जो अधिकार प्राप्त है वो अधिकार के अनुसार काम कर रही है. इतना ही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ.
सबसे बुरे दौर से गुजर रही है मुंबई पुलिस जो सबसे शानदार काम के लिए जानी जाती है.
नहीं, मुंबई पुलिस शानदार काम के लिए जानी जाती है और जानी जाएगी. वो अपने अपने क्योंकि उनको जो बताया गया है कि प्रोफेशनली जो पॉसिबल है प्रोफेशनली उनको जो करना चाहिए वही उन्होंने करना चाहिए. उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए.
महाराष्ट्र में जिस तरीके की परिस्थिति अभी बनी हुई है लगातार आप बैठक ले रहे हैं उसके बाद भी अलग अलग जगहों पर जिस तरीके से तनाव की परिस्थिति है आपको लगता है कि महाराष्ट्र को अशांत करने की कोशिश है सरकार को अस्थिर करने की कोशिश है?
अभी इसका जवाब मैं कल भी दे चुका हूँ. महाराष्ट्र में मैं बार बार ये बता रहा हूँ कि महाराष्ट्र में एक अशांतता निर्माण करने के लिए बार बार कोशिश हो रही है. वो कोशिश हम सफल नहीं होने देंगे.
All right, and we have breaking news coming in right now from Andhra Pradesh. We're learning of a fresh religious flashpoint, this time from Andhra Pradesh's Nellore, where the BJP is alleging that a stone pelting incident happened in front of a mosque on a Hanuman Shobha Yatra. They're saying that beer bottles were thrown on an idol. Now, the state police is refusing these claims very much. They're saying a minor confrontation took place and that it is being blown out of proportion. I want you to take a look at some reactions, then we'll go over to my colleague for more details.
हनुमान जी के मूर्ति के ऊपर खाली बियर की बोतलें फेंकी गई और बहुत बड़े पैमाने में उस मस्जिद के अंदर गुंडे जमा हुए थे जो गंदे इशारे करके हनुमान जी को और हिंदू समाज को अपमानित कर रहे थे. मुख्यमंत्री जगन मोहन रेड्डी जी की YSR कांग्रेस की जो सरकार है वो मुसलमानों के और माइनॉरिटीज के अपीजमेंट में वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स में इतनी बुरी तरह से डूबी हुई है कि राज्य की सुरक्षा का और हिंदुओं की संवेदना का भावनाओं की उनको बिल्कुल कदर नहीं है.
Can you give us a situation? What is the present situation at the moment?
On Sunday, the procession was started at 4 p.m. onwards. Then, after around 4:30, it was reached near the mosque. Both the sides, the people were chanting, slogans. But there is no clash, and there is no clash, no contract, and no pelting of stones. And no throwing of any bottles, whether it is empty or full bottles, and we don't know. But no such thing was reported in videography or no photography in the rally procession. The entire procession went off very peacefully. And if anybody has any sufficient evidence, and please provide, and then we'll take necessary action also.
My colleague Swastika Das, who you just saw conduct that interview, is with us right now on the phone to bring us more details. Swastika, we played out for our audiences the conversation you just had with the Nellore SP. And in that, our audiences can hear him say that there was no clashes taking place, no bottles were thrown. So essentially denying a lot of the claims of violence that we've seen the BJP make. I want to understand from you, after hearing what the SP has to say, has the BJP had a further response?
Well, SP, in my interaction with him, has clearly said that if the BJP has any video evidence of violence taking place, because they have categorically denied it, then they have welcomed the BJP to come over to the police station and hand them over the clips. But so far, the police officials maintain that there have been no police complaint that has been officially brought in by the BJP. So this is more or less another political story that is coming in from Andhra Pradesh, with the BJP now accusing Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy for allegedly suppressing Hindus and for carrying out major conversion in the state.
Swastika, I want to ask you, for any of our audience members who've been tracking the rise of such stories over the last few weeks, obviously these developments are worrying. Andhra Pradesh in particular is a state where the YSRCP is in governance, and they are a majority also in the assembly. What has their response been to these developments?
Well, the YSRCP has backed what the police officials said, and they have in turn accused the BJP of breaking out communal issues in the state. And this is something that is not happening for the first time. Several days ago, there was also another incident where a purported video shared by the BJP showed that a group of Christian worshippers were allegedly inside the temple. Then later on, it turned out that they were not actually, praying inside the temple, but the prayer meet was conducted at someone else's place. So what the YSRCP has essentially maintained is that BJP has been pushing misinformation in a bid to rake up communal sentiments and to create situation that is similarly happening in Karnataka. All of this in a bid to try and establish its footprint in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where Jagan Mohan Reddy's government has about 151 MLAs.
And one last follow-up question for you. Actually, Swastika, I think we are joined right now by a Sunil Deodar on the phone right now. We'll try to bring you more context. Mr. Deodar, thank you so much for joining us. I believe we are actually playing out a video that you've provided of what the BJP is claiming is violence that took place in the area. But I want to understand from you, we just spoke to the SP from the area, the Vellore SP, who very clearly said that no violence took place, that the procession passed peacefully. What is your comment on this?
You see, this is very unfortunate, Toya. If incident is happening and in the video it is clearly visible that they are showing ugly gestures towards Hanumanji's idol and Hindu procession, and there is a news that empty beer bottles were thrown to the idol, Hanumanji's idol, then some stone pelting also happened, and if the local SP says that he is not aware of that, then what is that video which is clearly showing what is happening over there? And there are 50,000 Hindus who took part in that procession. Are they all lying? So this is utter negligence from the side of police. And it is only because of vote bank politics that this Jagan Mohan Reddy's YSRCP government is doing.
Sir, but I do want to ask you, when we spoke to the Vellore SP, he didn't make a broad statement. He countered point by point each of the things the BJP has said. So when it comes to throwing bottles, when it comes to any kind of violence, stone pelting, he's countered each of those claims and said that they didn't take place. So I want to ask you, are you saying that he is entirely incorrect? And then do you have any video proof of the incident? And when I say video proof, obviously we're playing out for our audiences some videos, but even in these videos, there doesn't seem to be violence taking place.
It is duty of police. And such type of political press conferences should not be done from police. YSRCP, MLA or MP or spokesperson should address. And police must be having the CCTV cameras, and they should come out with CCTV cameras that, yes, see the video, nothing has happened.
Right,
only
sir,
shouting which is available.
I agree with you,
if they
but
show, then I may
sir,
agree.
one second, but Mr. Deodar, when you're making this claim and when the BJP is making this claim, the party must also take responsibility. It's a huge claim to be making. So don't you think they need to substantiate that claim?
Our MLC, Vakati Narayan Reddy and Ramesh, they have conducted yesterday press conference in Nellore,
right,
and they have already said everything, whatever they have said, with full responsibility. Bharatiya Janata Party, Andhra Pradesh, is telling that this has happened. Now merely saying that nothing has happened, one by one, kuch nahi hua, kuch nahi hua, it is not accepted. They should come out with, see, we don't have connection or we don't have any access to CCTV cameras. Now they have to take out CCTV cameras. And one thing the SP should answer, that mosque which is shown in that video, it is illegal. It is PWD land. And High Court has given order long back that mosque should be vacated. So Andhra Pradesh is waiting for bulldozer Baba for such
No,
things.
but Mr. Deodhar, I don't think the controversy is about the mosque being illegal or not, right? The controversy is about a procession outside the mosque and whether or not that was violent.
Obviously, the controversy is about illegal mosque as well. Because if such type of structures are there, then people will gather and they will create nuisance to people.
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't understand here. What is the correlation between a mosque being illegal and people gathering outside it?
Because people gathered there and they pelted stones, they threw the empty beer bottles, and the ugly gestures what they shown, it is very visible in that video. They shouted against Hanumanji. So how can you say that mosque is not a problem?
Because again and again, when you are calling it illegal on our channel, and no, sir, let's make that connection. When you're calling it illegal and you're saying that's why all these problems have happened, that's the connection I'm not understanding.
No, such type of things. If that mosque was vacated as per our order of High Court, then obviously this thing would not have happened at that place. They got a place to do all the such type of activities.
All right, Mr. Deodhar, again, not entirely understand that connection, but thank you so much for joining us here at CNN News 18. Thank you for putting forward your view on the channel over the story. We will try to bring our audience members more details on the story, particularly what actually took place. We will speak to more police and journalists on the ground to bring you more perspective. Let's very quickly move on from this story, though, in Andhra Pradesh now to developments back around the capital and in Telangana. Much speculation right now over whether or not political strategist Prashant Kishore will be joining the Congress. You might already remember that his political strategy firm IPAC has just finalized a deal with the TRS government. And why that's causing such controversy is because in Telangana, the opposition to the TRS is perhaps going to be the BJP and the Congress. So the fact that Prashant Kishore may have a deal with the opposition while his organization might have a deal with the party in power, that is what is causing quite a bit of confusion. And speaking out on the issue, you have the Telangana Minister K.T. Rama Rao. He actually spoke to my colleague Swastika and in his interview said that the Congress had lost relevance and that the party was not looking for a tie-up, that the TRS was not looking for a tie-up with the Congress. Take a look at that interview.
Let's talk about Prashant Kishore. Hectic meetings. Since last 2 days, he was camping at the Chief Minister's office while negotiations are still on with the Congress. So first, tell us what's brewing between TRS and Prashant Kishore, not IPAC.
Right. Firstly, let me tell you one thing. This is not the first time Mr. Prashant Kishore was here. He's been here several times. It's just that the media did not get wind of it. So we have met him several times. He remains a friend. I'm sure he'll continue to remain a friend. So therefore, there's nothing new or nothing, exaggerated about it as is being made out in the media. But I'll tell you one thing. The institution that we are working with is IPAC, which has got no connection to Prashant now. While he may have been the founder of IPAC in the past, he's got no connection to it right now.
There seems to be a vacuum left by the Congress, and you yourself have said that Congress is weaning away. So do you think the regional parties should now come together, and when is that happening?
See, Congress as a party, in fact, has lost its relevance in Indian politics, is what I firmly believe. Congress is a redundant institution because the people of this country have been extremely generous with Congress. Over the last 75 years, they have given the Congress party more than 50 years to govern this great nation. But since Congress has failed, BJP has come now, and BJP also doesn't seem to have delivered much. So therefore, my humble request to you is, please don't belittle us by calling us a smaller regional party. Congress is also nothing but a slightly larger regional party. So therefore, at this point in time, I would simply say that wherever the Congress, in fact, has contested on its own against the BJP looks invincible and infallible. But the fact is, wherever there is a credible alternative in the form of a strong regional party, the BJP could not make inroads. So therefore, I believe that in today's India, in today's political landscape, Prime Minister Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party both are hoping against hope that Congress and Rahul Gandhi ji will continue, so that they can continue their winning spree.
And very quickly, let's now bring you some coverage of stories from around the country and the world. These are quicker pieces of coverage, news wraps. The centre's blocked 16 YouTube channels that include 10 operating from India, 6 from Pakistan. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry has said that the accounts were spreading disinformation related to India's national security, foreign relations and public order. Now, one Facebook account has also been blocked. And in Bihar, the RJD leader and party chief Lalu Prasad Yadav's son Tej Pratap Yadav has announced that he will be resigning from the party. Taking to Twitter, Tej Pratap wrote, "I have tried to follow in the footsteps of my father and have given respect to all party workers." He said he will submit the resignation to his father. And let's move back to the capital, where Delhi continues to report 1,000+ single-day cases, as the capital reported 1,011 fresh COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Now, 1 death and 817 recoveries are also reported. In view of rising COVID cases in the country, the Karnataka government has made wearing masks compulsory in public places, workplaces and while travelling on public transport. The state government will also extract a fine for spitting in public spaces. And the world champion Max Verstappen and the Jamaican sprinter Elaine Thompson-Herah have won big at this year's Laureus Sports Awards. While Verstappen won the Sportsman of the Year award, Thompson was conferred with the Sportswoman of the Year. This was in a digital ceremony that was hosted in Seville. And very quickly now to our last focus on the day. This is a particularly big slice of news and one of the world's biggest deals in the tech world in particular. Twitter, as you might already know, been accepted by billionaire Elon Musk's bid. They've accepted it to take over the company for $44 billion. Now, the deal will see Musk acquire the social network for approximately $44 billion, as we just said, with shares valued at $54.20 per share. This is dollars again. According to Wall Street Journal, on Friday, Musk actually met privately with several shareholders of the company to talk about the virtues of what he wanted to do to the platform. He's also made video calls to them to push for his case. Musk added that he wants to establish Twitter as a genuine platform for free speech. Now, Musk has been particularly vocal about the changes he wants to bring to the digital space. I want to very quickly take you through some of them. Now, this first one, it's important to remember, is a change that Twitter already had planned. They've talked about this multiple times. They were already planning to introduce a edit button for Twitter users, but Elon Musk in particular actually took this one to the millions of people who follow him. We actually have some breaking news coming in. We're going to quickly switch track to that. And in a big boost to the vaccine drive across our country, the DGCI has now given COA vaccine approval for people between the ages of 6 to 12. So young children will now be able to take the COA vaccine. Huge news potentially. I'm sure my colleague Runjan is going to join us in just a second with more details about what the obvious implications of this big move would be. But again, children between the ages of 6 to 12 finally able to access a vaccine over there. COA vaccine is the drug that will be in question, is what will be in question here. The DGCI giving it its final nod. So huge news coming in. My colleague Runjan with the details. Runjan, obviously a big boost, especially for young children in the age of 6 to 12. But tell us more.
It indeed is. Remember, on the weekend, the Subject Expert Committee of the Drug Controller General of India had given its recommendations to the drug regulator, which is the Drug Controller General of India, for the use of Covaxin in the age groups of 6 to 12. Remember, Bharat Biotech had submitted data in the age groups of 2 to 12 to the Subject Expert Committee. The Subject Expert Committee, in fact, deliberated on the use of this vaccine in kids. Also important here because this comes amidst rise in COVID cases which are being reported from the national capital, also from the country, but also cluster outbreaks in some private schools in Delhi, in adjoining NCR, in Ghaziabad and Noida. We've seen cluster outbreaks being reported in school, and therefore now the focus on vaccinating younger children as well. Remember, up till now, only children above the age of 12 were being vaccinated in the country. Corbevax was being used for children in the age groups of 12 to 14, and then 15 to 17 was Covaxin. But of course, we will need to see and wait for more details, and more importantly for Entagi to now come up with guidelines for the Ministry of Health for using these vaccines, both Covaxin as well as Corbevax, which also got recommendations from the subject expert committee for how it can be used in children. Some details to watch out for will they be available in private center or in government centers? These are some crucial details to watch out for. Also, as far as the pricing, more or less it's going to be the same.
Runjan, bring us more details though. When our audience members do know already that, for instance, the Corbevax is being administered to children in the age group of 12 to 14 and vaccination for children between the age of 15 to 18 started in Jan. Tell us a little bit more about the numbers there. What percentage of children have already got that vaccine? I'm obviously not talking about this age group, but the earlier age group. That
yes, in fact, on 3rd of January this year is when vaccination for children started out, Toya, and it was in fact interesting to see that in children there was a lot of enthusiasm, and just in a couple of days we'd seen about a crore children get vaccinated. Remember, as far as vaccinating children from Covaxin in the age groups of 15 to 17 is concerned, this is the first phase of vaccination in children. The vaccinations were available both in government as well as private centers. But as far as Corbevax is concerned, and the second phase of vaccination, which is for children above the age group of 12, the vaccines then only available in government-run centers, and which is why now I'm pointing out that it would be important to watch out what sort of guidelines Entagi is going to form. These guidelines also will have to get an okay from the Health Ministry once they reach the table of the Health Minister as well. So we will have to see whether both these vaccines are for this particular age group, which is children under the age of 12, will they be available both in private as well as government centers or not.
And Ranjan, one last question for you. Again, our audiences, the approval that's come through right now for Covaxin is for children between the age of 6 to 12. You are someone who has been in touch with medical administrators over the last few months through COVID. I want to understand from you, when it comes to children between that age group, especially children as young as 6, 7, 8, they can be particularly fidgety. So walk me through how hospitals are going to be preparing when it comes to administrating these doses.
You know, Toya, in fact, children are used to getting vaccines from a very young age, and focus now really on COVID-19 vaccinations. And like I said, that we did see a lot of enthusiasm in children, even if you compare it to adults, no hesitancy, almost no hesitancy in young children that we saw. Also, let me point out here that parents also have been waiting.
Runjan, hi, good afternoon. Shreya this side. Let's quickly get in a reaction. I'd request you to stay on with us, but let's quickly get in a reaction from Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, who's a member of the Maharashtra task force, to the big news coming in. The DCGI giving a nod to Covaxin for kids between the age of 6 to 12 years. Dr. Bagai, your first reaction?
I think this is an important move. We have another platform for the children. We know that the children carry the same viral load. They can transmit as much as adults. A vast majority of them, almost 50 to 60% of children, are asymptomatic, and they have a viral clearance which is mimicking the adults. So their protection is important because they are the most vulnerable. They have to go back to school, to the activities, to the playgrounds. The worldwide data has shown in the Omicron wave a 6-fold increase in the pediatric cases with long lingering damage, including long COVID. So the protection becomes an important key in the overall management to control the spread of Omicron any further in our community.
Okay. Dr. Bagai, I'm going to request you to stay on with us. Dr. Naresh Trehan is joining us live on the broadcast. Dr. Trehan, let me start by asking you for your first reaction, a big move by the government of India here.
It is a very welcome news because this was the vulnerable group which was left out of the loop. And 6 to 12 years was the most difficult to manage because these kids, for them to have the discipline of masking and all that during school was a problem. And also a lot of them did get it, and then they brought it home also, and the elderly in their homes also got infected. So with this, there are several aspects. One, the children will feel safer. Second, the parents and the elderly will feel safer. they could now, once they complete the dosage, they can actually play freely, because right now to play soccer or something with a mask or anything like that doesn't work. So that's why all these things will help in every way. So it's and more importantly, it's made in India, so India can be proud of it, and the children certainly can breathe easy.
Dr. Trehan, the move is coming at a time when we are seeing cases in India increase. COVID cases once again in India increase, but it's also coming at a time when schools have reopened. Should this move have then come a little earlier? Given that we were aware that we will see, if not another wave, we will see a comeback of COVID-19 one way or the other.
So you see, you cannot compress scientific data to a level that you make it incomplete or not safe. So it is a very deliberate decision. It goes through many loops to be able to reach a stage of scientific sanctity. And you say you're going to inject children with it. So do you see the responsibility of the government on all this? So as much as we all wanted that it should come as soon as possible, it's not that you can take shortcuts. So now with the data that it is from the control trial, it is clear that there is safety and efficacy has been established. But when it gets out there in the public space, then we'll also have to monitor it very carefully that no side effects occur, like it has happened with the previous ones, when the adults were vaccinated and all that. So I think that we are on good ground. It is certainly has benefits much more than what the naysayers may say, because there are always some people who say, we don't know how it will work and all that. But I think we are going in the right direction. The children should be protected. We've always felt that, and we know that children have gotten infected now. And 4 times more children are getting infected today than before.
Correct.
So, and this is a worldwide phenomenon. So, and wherever there was vaccination already initiated, those numbers have come under control. So yes, India is actually bracing itself. I hope it doesn't happen. But, the indicators are that we are sitting on the threshold of maybe another wave. Now, good thing that the governments have actually responded quickly, like designated as, okay, avoid without a mask going into public spaces or crowded spaces. And we should be cautious.
Okay.
So, if we keep things in the open air, they are safer than in closed rooms where we collect, 50, 100, 200 people in a limited space. Those are the danger points which we need to avoid at this stage, maybe for the next 3-4 weeks, where it'll become very clear where we are going.
So in the next 3-4 weeks, is it your suggestion that schools be shut, Dr. Trehan? Because we are seeing the number of cases rise. First, it was only in 4 states. Now in 12 states, we are seeing COVID numbers register alarming levels.
It's still, this is a very conscious decision that will have to be taken on data, based on data. And if there are hotspots, like they have closed hotspots in schools, and should we go back today? Maybe not, because it's too early for that. Not that many children have gotten infected in clusters. So I think that we need to watch it very carefully. But in the meantime, the first step the school should take is enforce masking very diligently, and also open spaces and even classrooms you have to be ventilated well.
Dr. Trehan, can I play the devil's advocate here and ask you 2 questions which naysayers would have asked you? First things first, Dr. Trehan, many people can argue, show you the Sero survey ka result and say, look, most people in India have already got the COVID-19 virus. We have the antibodies, including children. Therefore, what is the need to inoculate children, given that their immunity in any case is better than adults? And B, they already have the antibodies. So what will an additional vaccine dose do?
So, simply put, what is the level of the immunity that these antibodies are showing? We don't know. But we know from the world experience and our own experience that even in the hospital we see people who have not been vaccinated get much sicker as compared to people who have received their 2 doses. And now, you can also see people who are eligible for the third dose. Even the elderly who got infected is quite mild. So I think that there is a derived benefit from it, no question about it. And if you look at the United States, in the states where there was low vaccination percentage, they suffered the most as far as the number of cases. So two other things that are to be taken into consideration is, one, that as we know, that the immunity that you acquire is to that variant with which you got infected. A vaccine is actually boosting non-specific, so against COVID. So basically, I think that the immunity given by a vaccine is much broader spectrum than acquired immunity or natural immunity.
Okay, I'm just going to take off from that question and then ask you this. The vaccines we currently have were designed to beat the Delta variant. Now we have the Omicron variant. Will it be as effective? Is there any point using this vaccine? Another naysayer question, but I think it's best to put it out there and get a clarification from you.
So it's very difficult to precisely come up with the answer to say, yes, it is as effective against Omicron as Delta. What we have seen is that it has pierced immunity. So whether the point being that number of people that are getting infected is large, maybe, but the severity is less. Now, what is the severity less from? Is it only the virus, or actually is it the vaccine has given some improved immunity to you, or the ability to fight? Now, when we compare the two groups, which were not immunized, and then they got Omicron, they get sicker. Young people may not be, but the elderly definitely. So people who have been vaccinated, we see the difference in our own hospitals. So I think that there is no currency. Okay, what is the harm of a vaccine? That was the anxiety was definitely relevant at the point when we were starting the process. Now, if 150 crore doses have been administered and not really any side effect to speak of, I think that there is currency in getting protected.
There is definitely currency in getting protected. Dr. Trehan, since you run one of India's best-known hospitals, I also want to ask you what the hospital's experience has been with COVID in children ever since it began. You know, in the initial phases, we saw COVID not impact kids too much. By the time we came to Omicron, the experience from South Africa was a bit different, where we had more hospitalization for children as compared to the Delta variant. What has your experience been with children and COVID so far?
So we saw in the first wave and when we combine it with Delta, that there were a sub 10% number of patients were children. When Omicron came, that bumped up from 6 to 8% to 16%.
Okay.
So there is a definite, numerically, the more number of children got infected by Omicron. Now, whether it was the fact that Delta wave created a huge fear factor in everybody's mind. We were actually terrified by it because we saw the devastation it had caused around us. And we had protected our children better at that time. Now, these are variables which are very difficult to answer. But the fact is that because Omicron is known to spread much faster than the previous variant, that is Delta, that it stands to reason that it would infect more people and more children. Because out of the group, the adults got vaccinated, but the children were left out. Now we are hoping, and the real proof will come when the children get vaccinated, does it even out across whole society?
You know, I'm just going to open this up. Dr. Trehan, I'd request you to stay on with us. I see Dr. Sanjeev Bagai has joined us as well. I'm going to open up the phone line for our viewers because many parents, I'm fairly certain, will have questions about the vaccine and whether or not they should get their children vaccinated 6 to 12 years on. Of course, the obvious answer is yes, but if you have concerns, we have two distinguished doctors on our panel, so do call in. The question is, vaccines for 6 to 12 approved? Any questions that you have? We have, as I said, two experts who are who are on the broadcast with us, so you can always call in and ask them any questions that you have. Dr. Bagai, I see you on the screens as well. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time as well. Quick question here. Dr. Trehan has been telling us that with Omicron, the number of children who are getting infected with COVID-19 has increased to about 16%. What has this increase looked like? Have you seen more hospitalization? What have the symptoms been? Have these children needed hospitalization?
Yeah, so just focusing on, good afternoon, just focusing on Omicron and the pediatric population, the CDC data has shown approximately worldwide percentage as 22% of the population which are COVID positives are children. It's shown a six-fold increase in the last 6 months. In India, we've seen a huge amount of children, luckily not too many getting admitted and no one really landing up with the dreaded multi-organ inflammatory syndrome of children, what we call as MISC. But the issues with children are that all of them carry the same viral load as adults. Largely, almost 60-70% of children are asymptomatic. They can transmit as much. Schools, we know, can be a transmitting hub to further propagate the infection back into the what we call as household transmission. And the children don't have what we call as the medically, immunologically, what we call as a B cell switch. So your B cells don't give you that much amount of a long-term memory response. So a natural infection is not the way to go forward. Depending upon the past immunity is not the way forward. Vaccination is the way forward. There is a recent study in Lancet which has shown a 7-platform trial in which the adolescents have shown 93 to 98% protection against infection and hospitalization. And now that is huge. You can prevent them from getting long COVID. You can prevent them from having multi-organ involvement. This gives a very, very good protection. The Indian vaccines have no side effects such as thromboembolic phenomena or anaphylaxis or any other neurological complications. So it's extremely safe. It is highly recommended. Children must get themselves vaccinated. Remember, the children is the largest cohort percentage of the Indian population, comprising of almost 42 to 45% of 138 crores. So we have a large segment which needs the protection. The time is now. We must go very aggressively forward.
Correct. And this is almost urgent because Dr. Trehan says we are sitting on the threshold of another wave. I have my first caller. He's calling us from Thane. Venkatesh, good afternoon to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. This question is related to our child who has come back from abroad after taking 2 dosages of Pfizer. And now almost 8 months have passed and waiting for a booster dose. What should he do, because the Pfizer is not there in India? Can you please clarify?
Okay, Dr. Trehan, would you want to take this question? 2 doses of Pfizer is something that the child has already had, was going for a booster dose. Pfizer is not available in India. Now the government's directive has come out. Can the kid take Covaxin? What should Venkatesh do?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there is mixing has been done across the globe. And if Pfizer, I don't think is coming to India anytime soon. So if the children need protection, then mixing of vaccines is not a bad idea to enhance the protection.
Okay, mixing of...
Many people have done the reverse. They got Covaxin here or Covishield here, then they were traveling overseas and they got Pfizer, Moderna. So all that mixing has been done a lot. And some people in UK they said we'll change the vaccine if the Covishield then they injected them with Pfizer. So there is a lot of stuff, but there has not been any real cross reaction that has been reported.
Okay, Dr. Bagai, I think before I wrap this chat very quickly, Dr. Bagai, we are talking about a first dose for children between 6 to 12, but will it follow the pattern for adults, which means you go in for a second dose and then a booster dose?
Absolutely. I think the regime will remain the same. The doses will remain the same. By and large, in children above the age of 2, they follow the same dose, very much like influenza or hepatitis B. They follow the same dose as in adults. Like I said, there is no serious
short-term or long-term complication per se. I insist on the third vaccine to be a part of the primary immunization and not being even called as a booster because of an immunological phenomena which is called as maturation and differentiation in your germ cell. So your B cells, which produce your antibodies, and T cells must rotate in the germinal center to get that maturation to give long-term immunity. Without the third dose, it is of no use. Just 2 doses and 3 months after the second dose, your immunity wanes below 10%. So your third dose is the important part, especially in Omicron, which has a unique set of mutations which have made the vaccine's immunity wane. That means your immunity decreases. Therefore, the time for the third dose as a promotional campaign, as a public awareness campaign all over India is extremely critical.
Okay. Dr. Bagai, Dr. Trehan, thank you very much for your time here on CNN News 18 and thank you very much for taking all my questions and a viewer question as well. So both good doctors highly recommending that children between the age of 6 to 12 go and get this vaccine put. With that, let me tell you that if you have any more queries, you can put them on our website news18.com. Lots of stories related to the big development that is coming today as far as India's vaccination drive is concerned, also up on our website news18.com. We are shifting our focus now to some other news. A day after a 6th grade student in Tirupur, Tamil Nadu had complained about Christian teachers allegedly pulling her up for wearing vibhuti on her forehead, the father of the girl has now approached the police seeking action against the teacher. The district administration, though, is ruling out any conversion angle as is being alleged by some groups there. Now, the student's father is alleging that cops are not registering an FIR in the case. He has said that the family hasn't got a single call from the police. Let's listen in.
ஃபார்மலா போலீஸ் கிட்ட ஏதாவது கம்ப்ளைண்ட் ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணிருக்கீங்களா?
மேடம் ஆமாங்க மேடம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டே வந்து ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணி சிஎஸ்ஆர் போட்டு கொடுத்துட்டாங்க மேடம்.
ஆமா, இன்னும் அதுக்கு எஃப்ஐஆர் பண்ணி நடவடிக்கை எடுக்கல.
ஒண்ணுமே இன்னும் பண்ணல, எதுவுமே பண்ணல. போலீஸ் வந்து இன்னும் ஒருத்தருமே எனக்கு கூப்பிட்டு கேட்கவே கிடையாதுங்க மேடம். கொடுத்தது கம்ப்ளைண்ட் கொடுத்தது அப்படியே கிடப்பில தான் கிடக்குதுங்க. சிஎஸ்ஆர் போட்டதோட சரிங்க.
நீங்க இப்போ என்ன நடவடிக்கை எடுக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க? என்ன மாதிரி பண்ணனா?
மேடம் எனக்கு என்னங்க மேடம், பொண்ணு வந்து அந்த மிஸ் அங்க இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் பார்த்தா கொஞ்சம் பயமா தான் இருக்குதுங்க.
Meanwhile, there have been protests by Hindu fringe groups in Tirupur asking why a student should be pulled up or punished for wearing a vibhuti on her forehead. Making matters worse is the fact that the police is refusing to register a complaint against the teacher, against the Christian teacher who pulled up this 6-year-old for wearing her vibhuti on her forehead. Now, this is not the first time that we are seeing this. There is no conversion angle here, according to the district administration. But even in Tamil Nadu in the past, and we've been getting you these stories on conversions, forced conversions from across Tamil Nadu. What we have seen is that there has been a hesitation as far as the police is concerned about punishing the guilty. For example, there have been reports, and this is something that CNN News 18 has reported as well, where you have Christian missionaries going to a school and they're going to the school, telling the school authorities there that we'll teach children about the ill effects of a cell phone, and yet they go start preaching, start bad-mouthing Hinduism, say that if you convert to Christianity, that's when your life will be full of roses, etc. And when parents have gone to complain to the police, there has been great hesitation in registering a complaint. Let me go straight across to Purnima Murli, who is joining us on the phone line. Purnima, the girl's father, the school child's father, is saying that I have gone to the police station, I want to complain, and yet the police is not registering any complaint. What is the police telling you? If a father wants to register a complaint, no one can stop him.
Well, police sources we spoke to say that they have not gathered evidence which points towards the two teachers trying to target her just because she wore a vibhuti on her forehead. So that's what police sources say. Of course, the collector of Tirupur district has come on record saying that an FIR will not be registered as the statements made by the parents are not true from the evidences that they have gathered from people they have spoken to, they say that the statements made by the family is not true. That's what the collector on the record has said, and police sources also said that an FIR will not be registered in this case, as no one has come forward saying that these two teachers have targeted Hindu students. So that's the word that's coming in from police sources. However, parents claim that that unless these two teachers are suspended and action be taken against them, they will continue to ensure that justice prevails for the daughter, as the daughter is scared to go to school. That's what the parents claim, but police sources say that they do not have evidence to pursue the case.
Okay, do stay on with us, because you're speaking about the Tirpur collector who says that an FIR will not be registered because no evidence has so far come forth that seems to suggest that these two teachers punished the girl for wearing vibhuti. This is what he's saying. Listen in.
DO தரப்பில் விசாரணை விரிவாக பண்ணிட்டுள்ளது. அதில் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் மற்றும் டீச்சர்ஸ் கிட்ட இன்டர்வியூ மற்றும் அதில் விசாரணை பண்ணியதில் இது கரெக்டான ஒரு தகவல் இல்லை என்றும் அங்கே ஒரு கன்வர்ஷன் ரிலீஜியஸ் கன்வர்ஷன் நடக்கலை என்றதும் உறுதிகள் சொல்லிட்டுள்ளது. அந்த ரிப்போர்ட் நாங்கள் போலீஸ் தரப்பிலையும் கொடுத்துட்டுள்ளது. சில நபர்கள் வேணும்னே இஷ்யூஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணுறதுக்காக உள்ள இணையதளத்தில் கம்ப்ளைண்ட்டுகள் வாட்ஸ்அப் மூலமாக எல்லாம் பரவிட்டு இருக்கிறதாக தெரிய வருகிறது. இது கடுமையாக நடவடிக்கை எடுக்கும் என்று நேரத்தில் தெரிவித்துள்ளது.
Purnima, we are seeing protests there in Tirpur district regarding this incident. I want to ask you, when this child has gone to her parents and said that I'm being pulled up or I'm being badly treated by my teachers, what exactly has happened? Any instances that the parent has given to the police that the police does not want to take cognizance of?
Well, the father, while speaking to Sena News18, said that in the complaint, they highlighted three things. One, of course, saying that the teacher had, in fact, criticized her for mentioning names of Hindu gods during her handwriting practices. Number two, they say that while they were asked to speak about the god that they believe in, many of them mentioned Hindu gods' names, and the teacher then said that the only person who sacrificed his life for everyone in this world is Jesus Christ, and why isn't anyone mentioning his name? And the third is the way prayers are offered. Remember, every day when prayers are being said in the school, they want the girl to ensure that she follows the Christian way of praying. That's something that the father had said in his complaint, and he said that she was targeted because she always believed in Hindu gods, and the two teachers did not really appreciate it and said that it is because of people like her that other children are also getting impressed to believe in Hinduism. That's something that the father had alleged in his interview to CNN News18. However, collector says that none of these issues are true, because he says that they have spoken to other children who say that she was not being targeted because she's a Hindu. That's something that they don't have evidence, which is why they say that an FIR can't be filed, because they did not get evidence to prove that these two teachers harassed her because she believed in Hindu gods.
Okay, Purnima, it's a story you continue to track there from Chennai. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much.
லைஃப் நல்லா இருக்கும். கண்ணு அது
खुद के धर्म के अलावा कोई और शिक्षा दी जा रही है। संविधान का उल्लंघन होने के कारण आईपीसी के विभिन्न प्रावधानों को अपनी ओर आकर्षित करता है, जिसमें मुकदमा दर्ज किया जाना चाहिए।
ரிசர்வேஷன் இப்போ இடஒதுக்கீடுலாம் உங்களுக்கு தராங்களா கவர்மெண்ட்ல? நீங்க மட்டும் மாறி
are also planning to move the Madras High Court, file it as a writ petition, to sting operation done by CNN and News18 in public interest, to treat it as an evidence, and to request the Honorable Court to direct the authorities to file an FIR.
Get all the benefits from the government at the cost of the exchequer, at the cost of fraud on policy, at the cost of fraud on census data also. They have been termed as cosmetic Christians. They want to enjoy government quotas.
And also when we spoke to them, they said that why is it happening? Because they have chosen one particular religion because they've been lured into it.
Time now to get you CNN News 18's round 2 of the conversion racket, but this time the focus is on crypto Christians. Now, in an SIT report, it is being revealed that South Tamil Nadu, and there are people who have secretly converted to Christianity in South Tamil Nadu, but they continue to avail reservation for SC and ST benefits by retaining themselves as Hindu on paper, essentially retaining their Hindu identity to avail benefits that are reserved for the SC/ST community, but they have actually converted to Christianity. They are known as crypto Christians, or people who have converted but continue to enjoy the government benefit. Not just that, this exclusive investigation also takes a deep look into how a village in Thodikudi in Tamil Nadu has two sarpanches, one for the Hindus and one for the Christians. Take a look.
We are in Parakarama Pandi village in Thoothukudi in South Tamil Nadu. Why this village? Because over the past 20-25 years, at least 50% of the population in this village have turned from Hindu to Christianity. Why is it so? When we speak to the senior citizens and elderly residents of this village, we come to know that even this village has two sarpanch. One for those who have converted into Christianity, the other supports Hindus living in this village.
Locals here tell you the two sarpanches idea that arose due to the high number of Christian converts is meant to be an effort to avoid friction between converted Christians and non-Christians. A communal harmony strategy, so to speak. But what actually emerges is a deliberate effort to divide, to build a wall between the two.
To avoid friction, Hindu people arranged and organized Hindu head. Christian people organized his school teacher.
Look closer and conspicuously unique equations emerge in this village and other parts of South Tamil Nadu. Beyond the Hindus, converted Christians and the Christians themselves. The term used is crypto-Christians. These are people who have converted to Christianity in secret but hold on to their Dalit identity and government records, which effectively means they draw benefits promised to them by the preachers while also getting benefits due to backward castes from the state. Here's a crypto-Christian we spoke to, one of many sting operations on the issue.
Okay. சரி 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 அதனால மட்டும் மாறீங்களா அவங்க ஏதாவது ஹெல்ப் பண்றாங்க ஒண்ணுமே தெரியாது சரி 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 எனக்கு ஒரு சூழ்நிலை வீட்டை விட்டு வெளியேறி போற நிலைமை சாக போணும் நான் கிளம்பிட்டேன் சரி சரி சபாயிட்ட பேசுறேன் ஓகே ஓகே அவர் பேசுறாங்க ஓகே சரி சரி உண்மையா சொல்றேன் வீட்டை விட்டு வெளியேறி போணும் நான் இங்க இருந்து சாகணும்னு கிளம்புறேன் சரி சரி பேசுறேன் என்னோட பேசுறாங்க சரி சரி திருப்பி அதனால யாருமே இந்த ஊர்ல எல்லாருமே அது எனக்கு ரெண்டு பேர் நல்லா இருக்கும் ஒரு ஆளு பக்கத்து வீட்டு கூட தெரியாது சரி ரைட் 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 ஆனா நீங்க ரெகுலரா சர்ச்சுக்குலாம் போறீங்க சர்ச்சில் எல்லாம் இந்த இது எதுவும் இல்லை அதெல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு வழிபாடு எல்லாமே வந்துட்டு எதுவும் பிரச்சனைலாம் வந்துட்டு இல்லை உங்களுக்கு இந்த இப்போ நீங்க வந்துட்டு ஆனா இப்போ பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட் உங்களுக்கு வந்து இந்துவா தான் வந்துட்டு இருந்துருக்கு ஓகே ரிசர்வேஷன் உங்களுக்கு வருதுங்களா ரிசர்வேஷன் இப்போ இடஒதுக்கீடுலாம் உங்களுக்கு தராங்களா கவர்மெண்ட்ல நீங்க மட்டும் மாறி இருக்கீங்க உங்க ஹஸ்பண்ட் ஹஸ்பண்ட் மாறிட்டாருன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா உங்க பிள்ளைங்களும் கிறிஸ்டியன்ஸா தானே வருவாங்க ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா இப்போ உங்க ஹஸ்பண்ட் கன்வெர்ட் ஆயிட்டாருன்னா பிள்ளைங்க வர அந்த மதத்தில் தானே வந்துட்டு வருவாங்க கிறிஸ்துவ மதத்தில் தானே வந்துட்டு வருவாங்க சரி அவங்க பசங்க எதுவும் மாறல ஓகே ஓகே சரி 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 ஓகே ஓ உங்களுக்கு பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட்டு நீங்கள் இந்து தான் ஆனால் ஆக்சுவலாக சரி ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே
முதல்ல ஆரம்பத்துல இருந்து மாறினா நான் கிறிஸ்டின்ல சர்டிஃபிகேட் எடுக்கலாம்
சரி சரி சரி
யாருமே எனக்கு கடவுள் மட்டும் தான் தெரியும் யாருமே இங்க வா போன்னு யாருமே
ஓகே சர்ச்சில் தான் யாருமே
So on one hand, they draw the benefits of SC/ST quotas and government reservation policies for backward castes, and on the other, they find themselves eligible as teachers and clerks in Christian institutions. And the numbers are shocking. A whopping 80% of Christian converts here belong to this crypto-Christian category.
In faith, in practice, and in everything, they are Christians. In enjoying the government facilities, they are Hindus.
It's not the first time the term has come out into the open. Only earlier this year, Justice G.R. Swaminathan of the Madras High Court had raised concern on the issue, pointing out that Hindus have become a minority in this district, despite the 2011 census indicating otherwise. Both phenomena, multiple sarpanches for a single village, and the crypto-Christian citizen, poses a worrying threat to communal peace.
The other big story playing out globally in one of the world's biggest deals in the tech world, Twitter has accepted billionaire Elon Musk's bid to take over the company for $44 billion. The deal will see Musk acquire the social network for approximately $44 billion, with shares valued at $54.20. Now, according to Wall Street Journal, on Friday, Musk met privately with several shareholders of the company to extol the virtues of his proposal and also made video calls to them to push for his case. Mr. Musk added that he wants to establish Twitter as a genuine platform for free speech. I'm going straight across to CNN's Claire Sebastian, who's joining us from London. Claire, thank you very much for your time here on CNN News 18. Will this then be considered a hostile takeover?
Good morning, Shreya. No, not a hostile takeover, although it could have been. There was a sort of thinly veiled threat in a filing to the Securities and Exchange Commission that Elon Musk put out last week, where he said he had financing for the deal, but he said if that deal was not accepted by the board, he would be willing to go to a tender offer, which means that he could essentially buy out all individual shareholders, bypassing the board. As it turned out, that thinly veiled threat may have forced the board to the negotiating table. That, of course, and the fact that no other offers came through for the company, and he ended up doing this with the board rather than against them. So this is a buyout, a leveraged buyout, not a hostile takeover.
Claire, you know, Twitter's CEO, former CEO, Jack Dorsey, is backing Musk, calling him the singular solution for Twitter. I want to ask you how Twitter changes under Elon Musk. He has, after all, pitched himself as a free speech absolutist.
Yeah, this is the really big question today. I think a lot of people are concerned. Some are cheering this, the sort of return of less censorship perhaps to Twitter. In terms of what Elon Musk has actually said in the past, he said that he would potentially take a lighter touch when it comes to content moderation on Twitter. He said that when there's controversy around a tweet, his view would be if there's a grey area, let the tweet exist. He says he favors timeouts rather than banning individuals from the platform for violations. This has raised questions about potentially former President Donald Trump, who was banned in 2021 for events around the Capitol riot. Musk has not officially commented on that. Trump, for his part, has said that he wouldn't want to go back to Twitter. In fact, he would rather join his own new social media platform, Truth Social. But this has raised a lot of questions. A lot of people very worried about the concentration of power this would mean for Elon Musk, and about the potential issues surrounding hate speech and abuse on the platform if he were to dial back the content moderation.
And are we almost certain now that Twitter will get an edit option?
This is something that Musk has certainly sort of said he's in favor of. He put out a poll early on after he had announced his stake in the company, and Twitter has said, officially said, that it is looking into this. Again, something that is controversial. It has survived for this long without one. People have to sort of live with what they put out there as a sort of part of their online history. So an edit button would certainly change that. But he is in favor of it, so watch this space.
Okay. Lastly, before I let you go, Jeff Bezos has prompted a China conspiracy theory around Mr. Musk taking over Twitter. Where is that coming from?
Yeah, so this is Jeff Bezos, former CEO of Amazon. He essentially retweeted a comment from someone else that pointed out that China is Tesla's second largest market. So if Musk owns Twitter, which is officially banned in China but accessed via sort of various internet backdoors, that would potentially give China undue influence over Twitter. Jeff Bezos saying himself that he asked the question, could this mean that China just gained leverage over the town square? He believes he then sort of responded to his own tweet saying probably not. He thinks it's more likely that this would create complexity in China for Tesla rather than any censorship at Twitter, and he thinks Musk is really good at navigating this situation.
Last question to you, Claire, before I let you go. Any worries within Twitter itself about where employees stand, whether the company could be restructured, could see some changes, etc.?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of worries within Twitter. There was actually a sort of all-hands meeting at the company on Monday where a lot of questions came out. CNN had access to the audio of that meeting. People worried about everything from the issues around content moderation and hate speech to what will happen to their jobs, essentially. They were told by current CEO Parag Agrawal that right now don't expect any changes. The deal has not gone through yet. They expect that will happen by the end of the year. He said right now we're going to continue with the work that we're doing. Don't expect any immediate layoffs. So some reassurance to employees. But I think, it's fair to say there are divisions within the company and a number of people are worried about what will change under Elon Musk.
Claire Sebastian, good to chat. Thank you very much for joining us all the way from London. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going straight across to my guests who are joining me this afternoon on the story. N.S. Napinai is joining us. He's an advocate from the Supreme Court. We'll also have Kanish Gaur, who's the founder of the India Future Foundation. Both of you, thank you very much. N.S., I'm going to come to you first with a quick question. We've just heard from Claire Sebastian, who tracks technology as far as CNN is concerned. And she's telling us that in America, there are now already concerns about what happens to hate speech on Twitter under Elon Musk, because he is pitching himself as a free speech absolutist, that you can say anything you want on Twitter and virtually get away with it. What do you think the impact will be here on India?
Well, in India, this cannot be, because the law says otherwise. So you have, the distinction really is because of this. Under the US Constitution, free speech itself is more of an absolute right than in India. In India, free speech is our fundamental right, but it can be fettered with reasonable restrictions. And these reasonable restrictions have to form part of Parliament enacted law, and therefore it's tried and tested, and then it becomes part of the law of the land. So today you already have certain legal and regulatory provisions which mandate content moderation. It may be minimalist, but it is still there. So when you speak about the India situation, one, we want free speech, of course we do. We'd love to have, and we like having a free speech right, and it's a very precious right which we have to protect. But does it come without any fetters? Can you just say anything goes on Twitter? Sorry, no, it cannot be. So on one hand, whatever the checks and balances that the law already has in place. So for instance, the intermediary guidelines mandate that all these platforms have to put up what kind of content can be put up. So even at that threshold level, you have a filtration process. And then you have a lot of provisions which mandate takedowns, blocking of content, etc. And if Twitter fails to comply with it, the penalty is that it loses its safe harbor. So when you say that you're going to make it a free-for-all, it has to be a free-for-all still within bounds. There will be rules of the game, and those rules will necessarily have to be followed, failing which the consequences ensue.
Kanish, then in that situation, are you foreseeing a rough ride for Twitter in India?
I don't see a rough ride for Twitter in India. I think this is a welcome change because Elon Musk has spoken about fake news, misinformation being spread through bots that need to be controlled. He's also spoken about authentication. He's spoken about safety and security. So these are primarily issues which we have faced in the past. Now, with somebody like Elon Musk coming in, it is not just about Twitter alone as a platform, but Elon Musk's larger portfolio of companies which have significant amount of interest when it comes to India. If you look at today, Elon Musk has put his stakes from Tesla to buy this company. So for him, it's a bigger game and a bigger gamble that he's fighting. So if he has any wrongdoing or if there is anything mischievous which is happening on Twitter, it is going to impact the overall brand positioning of not only Elon Musk, but his larger portfolio of companies. Given the situation, he is going to make significant amount of changes when it comes to Twitter's algorithms, how they track fake news, misinformation, what kind of messaging gets spread on Twitter when it comes to violence and hate messaging. And I think there is going to be more compliance to Indian IT laws, specifically intermediary guidelines, because these are some of the issues which he has spoken openly. And he's told that these are aspects where he wants to draw a change. And this will create more openness and transparency for Twitter to work as a platform in India.
Okay. Kanishk and NS, good to have you on this chat, and thank you very much for those very important clarifications that you are getting us. Let's see how the story plays out. Mr. Musk is quite a colorful character there. Will Twitter change under him for better or for worse? We'll just have to wait and watch, I guess. Meanwhile, there is trouble for Congress leaders KV Thomas and Sunil Jakhar. The Congress Disciplinary Committee meeting is currently underway to decide action against these two leaders. Let me go straight across to Pallavi Ghosh. All right, we'll try and go across to Pallavi Ghosh in just a bit. But it seems there is a spot of trouble for some more Congress leaders. The two names emerging are KV Thomas and Sunil Jakhar. We are being told that a disciplinary committee meeting is currently underway to decide what action should be taken against the two leaders, whether they should be sacked from the party, whether they should be asked to resign, whether they need to be given some time out, as it were. So all those options on the table as we speak, as this news breaks in. Let's try and see if we can go across to Pallavi Ghosh, who's tracking the story for us. Okay, I believe we are just about trying to patch up Pallavi Ghosh. Pallavi, can you hear me? Okay. So the big news, as we wait for Pallavi to patch up, the big news that we are tracking. This is trouble for two Congress veterans known to be close to Sonia Gandhi. They are in trouble, a spot of trouble. This is Sunil Jakhar and KV Thomas. We believe a disciplinary committee meeting is currently underway to decide what their fate should be right now. Again, as I said, they could either be sacked, they could be asked to sit out for a bit. They could be asked to resign as well. Now, what action will the disciplinary committee though take against these two veterans? We'll have to wait and watch. But we've seen in the past that you've had Sonia Gandhi, who's been fairly protective about party veterans who she sees in the face of the new generation, she sees as old loyalists. But is it time for them to go, Pallavi? I'm coming to you. You're joining us on the story. Why exactly has disciplinary action been sought against the two veterans? And what is going to be the likely outcome of this disciplinary committee meeting?
So one point against KC Thomas is essentially that he took part in a seminar which was organized by the Kerala state government. And in Kerala, the left and the Congress party are adversaries. There was a warning which was issued to him. But despite that, he attended a seminar. I remember Shashi Tharoor had also been told by Sonia Gandhi not to attend it. And therefore, he had opted out. And that's one disciplinary action which has going to be taken against KC Thomas. He's now been let off with a kind of a warning. But again, Sunil Jakhar, his comments that he was not chosen as a CM face or as a CM in place of Captain Amrinder Singh because he was a Hindu has of course not gone well with the Gandhis. The irony is that he was ahead of the campaign committee for Punjab elections. But his comments died in the middle of elections in Punjab. Congress leadership feels is one thing which also jeopardizes the chances of the party, and therefore it has recommended for 2 years he should be suspended.
So the committee has recommended that for 2 years Mr. Jakhar should be suspended. Any reactions coming in from Mr. Jakhar, and has the decision been conveyed to him? Okay, back telephone line. Quickly to recap the story for you. Why is Mr. Kirit Thomas? You see him on the left sides of your screens. Well, he attended a Kerala government seminar where, despite being warned not to, and in Kerala, as you know, the Congress is pitted against the left. So that is why disciplinary action was sought, but he's gotten away lightly. Not Sunil Jakhar, the man on your right, though. He's someone who had stepped out when the entire hangama was playing out in the Congress party before the Punjab elections. He stepped out to say, I was not chosen as the CM face of Punjab because I'm Hindu. Something that hasn't gone down very well. Suspended from the party for the next 2 years. Possibly we'll be seeing a reaction come in from him as well. Now, a fresh religious flashpoint has emerged in Andhra Pradesh's Nellore district. The BJP has alleged that stone pelting happened from an illegal mosque on a Hanuman Shobha Yatra and beer bottles were thrown on the Hanuman idol. BJP leader Sunil Diodhar has also shared a video of the incident where the procession can be seen passing in front of the mosque while another group can be seen sloganeering and shouting slogans. The state police has refused the claim, saying that only a minor confrontation took place.
हनुमान जी के मूर्ति के ऊपर खाली बियर की बोतलें फेंकी गई और बहुत बड़े पैमाने में उस मस्जिद के अंदर गुंडे जमा हुए थे जो गंदे इशारे करके हनुमान जी को और हिंदू समाज को अपमानित कर रहे थे। मुख्यमंत्री जगन मोहन रेड्डी जी की वाईएसआर कांग्रेस की जो सरकार है वो मुसलमानों के और माइनॉरिटीज के अपीजमेंट में, वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स में इतनी बुरी तरह से डूबी हुई है कि राज्य की सुरक्षा का और हिंदुओं की संवेदना का, भावनाओं की उनको बिल्कुल कदर नहीं है।
Can you give us a situation? What is the present situation at the moment?
On Sunday, the procession was started at 4 p.m. onwards. Then after around 4:30, it was reached near the mosque. Both the sides, the people were chanting, slogans. But there is no clash, and there is no clash, no contract, and no pelting of stones, and no throwing of any bottles, whether it is empty or full bottles, and we don't know. But no such thing was reported in videography or no photography in the rally procession. The entire procession went off very peacefully. And if anybody has any sufficient evidence, and please provide, and then we'll take necessary action also.
Let me go straight across to Swastika Das, who's joining us on the phone line. Swastika, what is the truth of the matter? You have the BJP claiming something and you have the state administration claiming one thing.
Well, at the moment, the situation is that the YSRCP government has clearly said whatever is the police version, that is the actual version. They have in fact accused the BJP of spinning lies, of spinning misinformation. The police officials I spoke to here said that he also has videographic evidence because he was there on the ground, and he said all that happened was sloganeering from both sides. Vishwa Hindu Parishad took out a rally. They went near a mosque, played loud music while the azan was on, to which there was a retaliation from a group of Muslim youth, according to the police. That led to some sloganeering and minor clashes in the police words. But the BJP is saying that beer bottles have been thrown. So police officials here have said that in case BJP has extra evidence, they should come forth and share it with the police rather than making a political issue out of it.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment, Swastika. Thank you very much. This is a big update that is coming in the probe of the vandalization outside Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence. BJP MP and Yuva Morcha President Tejasvi Surya has now been asked to join the investigation by the Delhi police. Let me go straight across to Anvit Srivastav joining us live. Anvit, what more details can you share?
See, Shreya, that day when the vandalism took place, we had seen some BJP workers and videos have surfaced. Barricades outside the CM Kejriwal's house were broken, and some posters were pasted on the wall. So, regarding that case, Delhi police had then detained some workers, but now the latest update is that Tejasvi Surya has been served a notice, and Delhi police reached out to him asking him to join the probe. And what we are getting from senior officials is that Tejasvi Surya has also assured Delhi police that he is not in Delhi right right now, but next week when he'll be coming back to Delhi, he will be meeting senior officials and he'll be assisting in the probe.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. In a big CNN News 18 impact, the Karnataka government has assured action over the Bible imposition in a Christian school after a non-stop coverage over that issue. Now, the State Education Department has issued a notice to the school that mandated every student carry a Bible to classroom for scripture classes regardless of their religion. State Education Minister B.C. Nagesh has said that all Christian schools in the state and their syllabus will be inspected by state authorities owing to the recent complaints. The issue escalated after several Hindu groups protested against the move, calling it a violation of the Karnataka Education Act.
So, Clarence School has made it mandatory for students to carry the Bible, but you're saying that it is against to the Karnataka Education Act. So, what kind of actions will the government take in this?
Definitely, whatever the school has done is wrong. Education department has given a notice to them. We are expecting a reply from them. Then the suitable action will be taken according to the law. According to Education Act, they cannot do it. I have said many times that don't compare Bible with Quran or Bible. A Bhagavad Gita with Quran or Bible. Bible and Quran